voted for, 100%. Not a single Democratic senator voted to confirm Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court, even though when she showed up for a confirmation hearing in front of the Senate, she had no notes, no net, more gracious, more classy, and more intelligent than half of the senators questioning her. Not a single Democratic senator voted to confirm her. Disgrace. And then, of course, during the speaker vote, people will call me, I'm so embarrassed. We give money, we vote. What's going on? How come we can't get a speaker? It's so embarrassing. 15 ballots. Kevin McCarthy emerges. But 15 consecutive ballots. All unanimous, all 213 Democrats, 15 times in a row voted for Hakeem Jeffries for speaker. 15 times. Not one of them had the courage to say, I'm going to put my own name up there, I'm going to say Mickey Mouse. At 2 a.m., not one of them was loopy enough to say, I'm just going to... That's not unity, that's unanimity. That's a bunch of Stepford wives and go along to get along, guys. I don't want it. I like being us. We are free thinkers. I'm going to quote a little bit from an op-ed I wrote not so long ago in the New York Times. I told President Trump the day it came out, this is as good as it's going to get for you in the New York Times. But it's called The Cases For and Against Donald Trump in 2024. And the reason I wrote it, as somebody who remains very close to him and very grateful to him, is because I want us all to see it instead of whisper about it. And I talk in there about how it would be a complete fool's errand to write off Donald Trump in winning the nomination again and indeed winning the presidency again. And what I said in there, I want to say to you tonight, nobody evades persecution and eludes prosecution quite like Donald Trump. His track record on national security, on the drug crisis, have fentanyl, the number one killer of 18 to 44-year-olds in our country, disgrace. He and the First Lady, Melania Trump, had broken the back of the drug crisis when we were there. First dib in 30 years. But his work on the economy, on energy, on national security, people will be reminded that what was old can be new again, no doubt. But what I hear a lot about is, I want the Trump policies without the Trump personality. And I would submit to you, that's like unscrambling an egg that you just throw on the floor. They come together. They're a box set, collect them all. The president would tell you, but I'm here to tell you tonight, that without that strong, resolute personality, where you're putting America first, not second, third, fourth, or last, not any of the other options, allowed him to get these reciprocal, enforceable, verifiable trade deals with China, with Korea, with Japan, with Mexico and Canada, allowed him to stand up to Putin and Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping, allowed him to make the call when others were too weak and fearful to do it, to take out Qasem Soleimani and al-Baghdadi. To push to get the COVID vaccines at warp speed, and also to rebuild our manufacturing base in this country. And no one else would have done that. I think also him forcing the NATO countries to give to the common defense was really, I witnessed that a lot. And look, I like the fact that there are other Republicans running because I don't want unanimity. President Trump does not, he loves competition. His business, his brand, this country, all founded on competition. And so he loves competition. He said, honey, he called me one day, he said, what are you doing? I said, if you must know, I'm taking out the trash. What are you doing? He said, I'm about to golf. I said, well, I don't know how to golf, and you haven't taken out the trash in 40 years. He said, I think I was like at 92% with Republicans, and now it's more like in the 60s or something. I like it better that way. I said, okay. He said, I like the competition, and he does. But we should all like competition. I mean, we're the pro-competition, pro-free market movement, political party. Our country was founded on it. Why in the world do we have no competition in our presidential contest? But I will say this. I do find that many of the Republican candidates right now, only 3 are running. If I have to hear it one more time, this one will be great, this one can win. That one's not even running. You have to run. It's like the old lottery thing. You can't win if you don't play. You can't actually win if you're not running. And it takes courage and moxie and a whole ton of paperwork to actually be a candidate. The first debate is only 5 months away in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in August. There were 16 candidates last time in 2 different debates, August 6, 2015. Right now we have 3 candidates, Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, and Donald Trump. But right, I don't think that's just because we're at a Trump Club 47 event. So I say this because I think many of these Republican candidates right now are like blind dates. Everybody just talks them up to you. Oh, he's so smart, he's so charming, she's brilliant. Loaded with money, classy, fine cuisine, world traveler, loves her mama, good to her siblings, gives more to charity, money to charity than anyone you've ever met. And then of course, you get put on the blind date, and eventually the doorbell rings and you need to open the door. So I think many of them are like that. We don't know what somebody's made of until they're staring into those Klieg lights on a debate stage. We simply do not know. It goes really quickly, it's really daunting, very, very scary to people. In 2020, President Trump increased his take overall in the electorate. It went from 62 million to 74 million votes, but he also increased it among older voters, among Hispanic voters, among African-American voters, among some sectors of women, white voters with college degrees. And I think if he stays with that coalition, they say it's his ceiling, I think it's his floor. And he just builds on that. That's why he's doing this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have, the other thing I just wanted to say is, I know a lot of people are going to make this race about Donald Trump. Do you want Trump or not Trump? I believe the presidential race should be about Joe Biden and the failed policies. One of the first things the Democrats did when they got in power a few years ago was rip mother, father, brother, sister out of the government documents. How is this possible? You're ripping mother, father, brother, sister out of the government documents. Ketanji Jackson Brown is now in the United States Supreme Court. She has good credentials. She sat through a confirmation hearing. She was asked, what is a woman? And you know what my answer would have been had you asked me, what is a woman? I would have said her. And you know why I knew that? Other than I've been an expert on being a woman for 56 years now, and I can see with my own 2 eyes, not what you say, what I say, she's a woman. The other reason I knew Ketanji Jackson Brown as a woman is because that's what the White House told us. He's going to nominate a woman. 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 He nominates a woman. That woman is asked, what's a woman? She says, Senator, I'm not a biologist. This is what we're up against. It's complete nonsense. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, my friend and colleague Alexandra, and I, and many from the administration were just at her inauguration 2 months ago. I live in blue states, so I just go to my friends' inaugurations. She's absolutely right. The choice is not left or right. It's not even right or wrong, it's crazy and normal. But you have to shine a light on it every chance you get. Are you okay with this? Not just are you okay with kids reading this in the 4th grade, but what are they not doing that day in the classroom that they're actually doing this? And the last thing I'll say to you is, any chance you get, even when it's hard, even when it seems hopeless, even when you're being ridiculed, even when you think the polls are against us, etc., be a happy warrior. That is something we have over the other side again and again and again. Once miserable, always miserable. I keep hearing Hillary Clinton may run again. I'm like, oh, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. I can only hope so. Imagine being Hillary and waking up every morning and being the second most popular person in a two-person household. That's gotta be rough. That has gotta be rough. But ladies and gentlemen, people ask me all the time, is Donald Trump gonna run? I'm like, he is running. He announced in November, I don't know where you've been for 4 months, he's running. But they say, I don't think Biden's gonna run. I do, and here's why. Maybe he won't, but I do. It's very hard to dislodge a sitting president. The last sitting president to not run for re-election was Lyndon Johnson in 1968. So it's very difficult. But I'll go you one better. Who do they have? If Kamala Harris was remotely competent, they can say to Joe, listen, you finally got the brass ring, you finally won the presidency, you defeated Donald Trump, thank you so much, yay. And now you're going to be known as the guy in history who elevated and helped elect the first female president of color in the nation's history. They can't do that. They're scared of her. She's lost 22 senior staff members. That's a true story. Those should be dream jobs. She makes it a nightmare. She just can't do the job, and they know it. And I disagree with everybody in this room. If you ever again say the words, Pete Buttigieg has no experience. Come on. He's got a ton of experience now. Supply chain crisis, shutting down air travel for the first time since 9/11 when he was baby formula crisis, infrastructure nonsense, Southwest Airlines. He's got a ton of it. Yeah, that too. Thank you. He's got a ton of experience. They don't really have anybody. Joe Biden, they had one of everything in 2020 when he ran. 25 Democrats ran, 25. They had one of everything. They had an African-American guy, they had the black woman, they had a Hispanic, they had an openly gay mayor, they had an American Samoan, and that is Tulsi Gabbard, not Elizabeth Warren, in case you're wondering. But speaking of Elizabeth Warren, they had a female socialist, they had a male socialist, they had a war veteran, Seth Moulton. They had something, and then Michael Bloomberg decided, his consultants decided, you know what, he should get in there too. He spent $1.2 billion and was disemboweled in 42 seconds by Elizabeth Warren, quite predictably. The party of youth and energy and diversity and inclusion and forward-looking future ended up with the rich, white, old, straight guy for president. And they're going to end up with him again. I like our chances. I looked at 2022 not as transformative, but as transitional. I think it's the bridge from 2016, 2020 into 2024. There's a lot of work to do. And I think we do that work now. We do that work together. And we bring people along. And I'm going to say it again, the best thing you can do. 7 seconds, 70 seconds, 7 minutes. Why am I a member of Club 47? Why do I believe? Why am I a Republican? Why am I not a Democrat? Why am I not an independent? Why should you join me at the next event? Is it fair that this, that, and the other happens? What about education? That's not fair that 55 schools in Lori Lightfoot, Chicago, 55 said no proficiency in math or reading. It's not fair. Everyday life is increasingly unaffordable, insecure, unsafe. That is not happenstance. That's a man-made crisis. And we know the solution, and we're counting on each and every one of you to help us build the solution. I was so honored and humbled to be here tonight. Thank you so much for having me. God bless you all.